Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Pulse Pods. You're listening to your host, DJ El Pablo. Are you trying to find true meaning to life and living? Then you are at the right place. Welcome to Pulse Pods. Listen and gain something new today. Thank you. Hi, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Pulse Pods. You're listening to DJ El Pablo, and we are in the Live, Love, Learn series, 3L series for short, and we are focusing on the 5 love languages. And today's episode 25 is particularly focused on physical touch. Here we go. Welcome back. So physical touch basically is one very essential love language. But in the previous episodes, we focused specifically on acts of service. And if you want to know how that went down, because I just want to say that it was really interesting hearing other people's points of views on acts of service. If you want to know how that went down, go listen to the previous episode. All of these episodes of the 5 love languages in the love language series are mutually exclusive. So you need to listen to each and every one of them if you want to understand all of the love languages. So just go have a listen. As far as physical touch is concerned, there are many ways to show love to your partner. You can show up to support them at an important fundraiser, for example. You can also buy them a gift because you thought of them. You can squeeze their hands when they are having a stressful day. Physical touch is just physical touch is one of the 5 love languages, as we've initially stated, according to Dr. Gary Chapman. Dr. Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages. The others are words of affirmation, acts of service, as we talked about in the previous episode 24, quality time, and giving or receiving gifts. All 5 love languages are important, but since we all give and receive love differently, it is important to know what you or your partner prefer in order to express your appreciation in the best possible way. Physical touch is basically an expression of love using physical expression. Okay, so physical touch as a love language is not all about sex, although sex is an important part of the marital relationship. But a hug, a shoulder squeeze, a handhold, even a pat on the back can be an expression of love that is just as meaningful to your partner. So we're talking about speaking your partner's own love language. For example, I love it when my partner holds my arm or squeezes my biceps or triceps. Just, holds my arms when we go on walks or spend time together. Just wrap my biceps and triceps, like I said, with your arm, and I'm all good for it. I'm all for it. Now, if you are in a long distance relationship, there are ways you can give and receive physical touch with there are ways you can give and receive physical touch no matter where you are physically or mentally with your partner. There are both intimate and non-intimate touches that you can use to show your partner love. Physical expressions of love are used in most romantic relationships, but think about this. What if you live like 9,000 miles away from your partner? What if you are not a touchy person or waiting to have sex after you're married? What if intimacy is mentally challenging for you? These are, questions you could ask when it comes to physical expressions of love used in romantic relationships. One thing is for sure, sex isn't everything in a relationship. It is important, yes, but it is not the only physical expression of love. Dr. Gary Chapman said, appropriate touch, warm hugs, hand holding, sexual intimacy lend value and a sense of belonging. He said, if you are to develop an intimate relationship, we need to know, if we are to develop an intimate relationship, we need to know each other's desires. And if we wish to love each other, we need to know what the other person wants. Very, very important. He also said, and I quote, usually if a wife feels loved by her husband, she will desire sexual intimacy. But if she does not, she would likely feel used in sexual context. That is why loving someone who is not loving you is extremely difficult. It actually goes against our natural tendencies. Now, he also said, and I quote, for the female, sexual desire is far more influenced by her emotions. If she feels loved and admired and appreciated by her husband, then she has a desire to be physically intimate with him. But without the emotional closeness, she may have little physical desire. Her biological sexual drive is closely tied to her emotional need for love. Also, about love, Dr. Gary Chapman said, love is the most important word in the English language and the most confusing. He also said, and I quote, for love, we will climb mountains, cross seas, traverse deserts, sands, and endure untold hardships. Without love, mountains become unclimbable, seas uncrossable, deserts unbearable, and hardships are a lot in life. He said also that love can be expressed and received in 5 love languages. However, if you don't speak a person's primary love language, that person will not feel loved. Even though you may be speaking the other 4, once you are speaking his or her primary love language fluently, then you can sprinkle in the other 4 and they will be like icing on the cake. Now, here are some different ways to show intimate love through physical touch. First, kissing. Most of you might think that kissing would always lead to sex, but in reality, it doesn't actually. And I believe that it is a mindset thing. However, kissing is one of the easiest and most effective ways to establish intimacy and express physical touch with your partner or spouse. Now, you can kiss their lips, neck, forehead, hand, and cheek. In many cultures, kissing has been shown to be an act of respect, greeting or affection. Kissing should also be prioritized in relationship, if you know what I mean. So that's number 1, kissing, very important as a type of physical touch. Holding hands as well is number 2. This is another physical expression of love, or what folks would call in this day and age, PDA, public display of affection. Now, you can hold your partner in public, private, but also this is also an easy gesture to show that you love them. And this has also been scientifically proven or researched that holding hands give your partner a sense of belonging by releasing endorphins. You can Google that. Parents hold the hands of their children for protective reasons, but also for physical connection. Something I would explain in later this month. Much later this month. But Holding hands is one of the easiest ways to speak your partner's love language. One of the easiest ways to speak your partner's love language is holding hands. I'm not saying you should just go and hold their hands for no reason. I mean, like, hold their hands with the intent for love and connection. Simple. Let them feel safe. Let them feel loved. Let them feel connected. Another one is cuddling. That's number 3. Do you cuddle your partner when you're both seeing a movie, or do you just go on to press your phones and sit on separate chairs? Do you cuddle in bed? If you don't, then you should start now. This is another form of physical connection, just like holding hands. It is very intimate, as it draws you both closer together. Your partner could prefer to be the big or little spoon, but swapping roles and facing each other spices up relationships in different dimensions. The next one, which should probably be number 4, is skin to skin touch. Skin to skin touching can create intimacy, whether it is sexual or non-sexual. Just rubbing your partner's back, placing your hands on their shoulders subtly, or even stroking their hair, which I love to do with my partner, or hair or legs, can be an expression or an expressive way of telling your partner that you are there for them. You know, in the previous episode, I said you could give your partner a massage or just rub or wash their feet. If you can do that, it is just as good an act of service as it is a form of physical expression of love. One beautiful thing about physical touch is that it is non-verbal, as said earlier, but it creates emotional intimacy. There is also the non-intimate expression of love known as non-intimate touch. One of the non-intimate touch could be rubbing your partner's back when a friend is dealing, for example, when a friend is dealing with a difficult, upsetting situation. Touching them is a normal form of reaction, but this form of touch can also be as effective in a romantic relationship. Rubbing your partner's back or massaging them can make them know that you are there for them and that you love them, and that you can rub their arm. You can also rub their arm, their hand, or another part of their body, just to make sure you're communicating with your partner and making sure that they are comfortable with it. So one way to understand that they're comfortable with it is to converse or communicate or talk about these things. Sitting side by side each other, that's number 2. Sitting side by side each other is like close enough to be touching your partner is an easy way to signal that you love them. Maybe you're out on a dinner date, or maybe you are out at an event, right? And you want to show your partner love, but you don't feel comfortable kissing them or holding their hands. Sitting by them, like sitting with your hips touching each other or your feet touching, is a non-verbal way of connecting with your partner. You know that, will I call it goosebumps or chills that go, all over your body when you're in love with someone, and then your legs or your calf touches theirs. And then when you want to maybe stand up to go somewhere, and then there's this disconnect, and then it sends chills down your spine. That's what skin to skin does. And that creates intimacy, especially with your loved one, your spouse. Another one you can do is tickling. Some individuals may not like to be tickled, but tickling is a physical expression of love. Not sure if your partner likes this? All you have to do is ask. Communication is an integral part or aspect of any successful relationship, even if your love language is physical touch. Communication is an integral part in a very successful relationship. Now, have you noticed that when there is a misunderstanding between you and your partner, you both often move physically away from each other, and it is difficult to break the tension following the argument? Physical touch can help you bridge that gap, close the loop, or fill the void or vacuum that is left. So reconnecting physically with your partner can could mean that the argument or misunderstanding is over and you have both moved on. However, hugging, kissing, or even holding hands can be just as meaningful. Question. Some would ask, if you are in a long distance relationship, how can you express physical touch? First and foremost, I would answer, body language is key. It's just as expressive as verbal language or verbal communication. If your love language is physical touch, then body language is very essential. For example, if I'm in a video conversation with someone, I would love to solely focus on the person alone and nothing else. I'd love to make them know that I am with them. First thing is to move to a quiet place and turn off any noise that will cause a distraction, and make eye contact to show that I am solely focused on them. I just learned something very recently, and it's called virtual or video date. Right? Sounds strange. It actually also sounds stupid, but it's actually like a very deep form of connection that you can have with your partner. Virtual or video date. And a friend of mine told me he did that with his spouse on Valentine's Day. You can actually do it on any day you choose, any special day, or any anniversary, or any event. My very dear friend told me about this, that he did it on Valentine's Day, like I said. And thinking about it, it's very ideal for long distance relationships. It makes absolute sense, and it is one easy, effort-worthy way of creating intimacy. And I keep saying effort-worthy because it's always worth it in the end when you put in effort to make this work. Genuine effort, not just trying to do it because you feel like, oh, they would love it. You should do it because you've communicated with your partner and that you know that that's what they love. There are many ways it can be done, and so many virtual platforms like Google Meets and Zoom, or Microsoft Teams meeting, or even FaceTime, where you can actually improvise and change backgrounds while on this virtual date. It must not be on special days like Valentine's Day, as I said. It could also be any day. Just make it special. Trust me, the thought of it is effort worthy, and it has worked. Just make it frequent and very special. Just do what you would do like when you're physically present with a person. Do what you would do physically, virtually. Other ways to show physical touch from a distance is blow each other kisses, send them gifts that physically remind them of you, such as a sweatshirt of yours, or stuffed animal, or a sachet, or, you could send them a sweatshirt of yours, a stuffed animal, a sachet of your perfume or cologne. Like, talk about physically touching each other. It may not be the same as the real thing, but our imaginations can be as powerful as however we want to, because we are only our limitation. Our imaginations can be a powerful tool which long distance relationships or long distance couples should utilize. I'll leave you with this. Relationships require effort from both sides, but it also requires physical touch for maximum impact. In any relationship, whether thriving or not, sometimes the simplest acts of service or the simplest acts of love are the most impactful forms, especially when it comes to physical touch. Finally, when it comes to physical touch, this is how to communicate physical touch. It's either nonverbal, like I said earlier, which is using body language or touch to emphasize love, and how to take action or actions to take when it comes to physical touch. Like I said, hugs, kisses, holding hands, show physical affection regularly, and make intimacy a thoughtful priority. And then things to avoid: physical neglect, long stints without intimacy, receiving affection coldly. So you have to appreciate whatever affection that is being given. I'll leave you with this, and I believe that you've learned something really valuable, and it will help you with building intimacy in your relationship. See you on the next one. Thank you for listening, and God bless your heart. Don't forget to leave a review. I would specifically say leave a review on WhatsApp. So whenever you receive the link to this podcast, just drop me a review, and then we can work from there and discuss it. I would love to have conversations about people and their points of views on physical touch. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you for listening to Pulse Pods today. We hope you've learned something valuable to help with your daily life and living. Pulse Pods is on social media, and you can literally find Pulse Pods on every social media platform where it is. Just simply search at Pulse Pods on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you could also send an email to pulsepods@gmail.com for any advert, questions, suggestions, or sponsorship. And also subscribe to Pulse Pods on all of the platforms where you find your podcasts, ranging from Spotify to Google Podcasts to Anchor, and anywhere you find a podcast, Castbox, Beta Radio, Breaker Radio, any platform whatsoever, Apple Podcasts. And just subscribe and listen, and God bless your heart.